Okay, so this is the blanket itself is done. The appliques for the sheep are done, and the numbers on top of the sheep have been attached as well. So you can kind of see this is the sheep all in the field. They don't have the little legs underneath them, so that doesn't show yet, but you can kind of see that they're all there. And then the blue of the sky over the end of the grass in this blanket is done. Okay, so what I want to start with now is I want to start with doing the fence. And the fence is not going to be anything super complicated because I can't do really fancy stitches on this because it would take absolutely forever. Because each of these are jumping over a fence, right? These, once they have their little legs, they're going to look more like sheep, I promise. But they're all jumping over a fence. So what I'm going to be doing is there's going to be a fence going right along here, right underneath these guys. And then they're actually going to be jumping over the fence. There's going to be a fence here. There's going to be a whole bunch of angled fences across this field. It's not supposed to necessarily be realistic because who would put fences like that? But it's counting sheep to fall asleep, so nothing is realistic in your dreams, right? At least not in mine. Okay, so that is the look of the blanket at this moment where it's going. And I am going to be attaching fences, and all they're going to be is actually just chains. I don't want to make it too complicated because otherwise it'll just get way too busy. So that is my plan, and that's what I will start doing in the next clip. Okay, so to do the fence for this next bit, I'm going to first do the angled fence that goes from under the 3 and 4. So the rest I can take away for the moment, just so that I don't constantly knock them over. So these ones are where they're supposed to be. Notice that their heads are on opposite ends. The one is always in the far left picture, far left of the blanket on the top, because he's the first one to get to Dreamland, right? So we've got 1, and then 2, and then this is 3 here, and then 4 is following him, because technically he would have another 4 if he'd flip around and go this way, right? Again, dreams, no logic. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're just kind of going back and forth on this field, just jumping fences, because apparently sheep love to jump fences in dreams. Okay, so in order to make the fence, I am going to just be doing chains. And I'm going to be doing, these sheep are actually going to be jumping over the fence, exactly in this picture. And I am going to be chaining on. Excuse me. And I do not know how many chains this is going to meet. I am going to play it by ear here. I just know that these are the position where they're going to be. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Let's see how far that gets us. Not very far. I'm thinking we're going to have to do at least 40. So that's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Let's see where that gets us. There, so this guy's going to be jumping over this fence right at this point. And you'll see that it will kind of look a little bit more like a fence yet. But let's go to this. We have 30 now. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. So let's see how that plays out. Okay. And the fences are just going to go, they're going to start right from the end of the blanket there, just so that they're kind of, they end somewhere off beyond the picture, right? And they're going to be jumping over these fences exactly at this point, so that's why I'm dragging them over the sheep at the moment. Okay, so let's try another 5. So we're at 40 now. Actually, wait, where was he now? Actually, that might... No, we're going to do another 5, see what that looks like. So that would be 45. 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. Let's try that. There, my blanket. Okay. So that's at the edge of the blanket here. Don't want to pull it off too much to the side, otherwise I'm going to be having my blanket fall off that way, off the end of the table. Okay. And I am actually going to do the fence so that it goes just above the blue, because I want him to actually be jumping over fence, not jumping over fence post, right? That's where that would be. So this is 45. Let's try 55. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55. Okay, again angled over both these and gone to the edge of the blanket here. 55, and it looks like I will need an even 60 to finish this one part of the fence. 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Like I said, this is trial and error as I go along, because this is just making it up, right? It's the fun part of Afghan making sometimes. Okay, so then it goes off to the top here a little bit. I want the fence to kind of be on the top of the grass, so you can kind of see it behind there as well. Okay, so it starts on the edge of the blanket here, just where the border begins. And then this little guy will be jumping over this fence. Mishka. My dog gets obsessed about licking her toes. I don't know what it is, but that was her in the background licking her toes. It's so gross. Okay. So then this number 4 is jumping this fence right here. And this number 3 is jumping this fence right here. Okay, and then the fence ends up on the top there. All right, so that is the first description there in regards to how I'm going to start this fence. And then I'll also make some fence posts in between the rows, but I can always do that afterwards. Right now I just want to get the right lengths in between each of these. So now I've got the number 2 sheep over here, and excuse me, the number 5 sheep over here, and the number 10 sheep, because he's the last one to join the party here. And his numbers are crooked on purpose for me. At least I did that, because that means once you count to 10, you're off in dreamland, and even the numbers don't make sense. Or at least they don't line up, right? It's a little off center. Okay, so then number 10 is going to be right here. So then I'm going to need a fence going from here all the way down to here and ending where this border is on the bottom of the blanket there. So this guy will move just a little bit further down, center these guys all evenly in this green section here. So that's what I'm going to do next, and I'm just going to do that for each of them. As I put them back, I'm going to do an angled chain that goes from the border on the bottom of the blanket of the green part, and then going all the way to the top and being just above the blue, like we have on this one here, where it's just kind of gone above the blue for that. So then we at least have the lengths of the chain done, and then we can work on fence posts, and in the end you can have maybe some angled pieces. I'll see how it works out, see how it looks, then place it all in, do it like a little bit of a dry fit, and then I'll start sewing it on. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing next. Okay, so I've gone the next step. It's kind of hard to show it right now, but I'm working on this fence right here. I've got the 2 fence boards going across. They get wider as they get closer to the bottom, which means nearer to you, right? We have fence posts here, here, and also Trying not to let everything fall off as I show you here, right at the top. Those are chains as well. Each of these fence posts is 10 chains and then 12 chains, and the biggest one on the bottom here was actually 16 chains. And the two are exactly the same. They're both 60. The top and the bottom of the fence rails. So those are what it looks like there. I haven't sewn them in, they're just placed on right now. And then I've started this one, going over the next row of the next fence that the sheep jump over, which are number sheep 2, 5, and 10. And that chain is 80 long, so you can make 2 of those, one for the top and one for the bottom fence rail. And I believe you can actually make 4 of them now that I think about it, because there's going to be 2 that are exactly the same length here. 2 fences that they're jumping over, so you can make 4 chains that are 80 chains long. You can make 4 of those. All right, I will meet up with you at the next point in this tutorial. Okay, so I have finished this next, I shouldn't say finished, obviously it does not look finished, but I've kind of done the dry fit, or the dry run of this second fence. Like I said, they were 80, these long pieces. There's 80 chains. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I'm using a 5mm or H hook for this. So those are 80 chains. These 2 long ones here, going this way and this way. These are the fence posts, and they are 10, 12, and 14 chains long. I am not, sorry, 10 is the top one. It's hard to show you here without everything falling off. This one here, this top one, 10 chains. This one is 12 chains. And this one is 14 chains. I've sewn in the ends on the bottom of these fence posts, partially just to make it look a little bit clearer to you, because it's already kind of dark colors. I'm not sure how well that'll show up on camera, but I've left these tails because that's what I'm going to be using that yarn to sew these in on top of these. Okay, and I'm also just making the fence, the distances between the top and bottom fence rows, it gets a little bit bigger as you get down towards the bottom in each of these rows. Yeah, so like I said, the top fence post is 10 chains, the second here is 12, this one is 14. I'm not going to be doing one after the 10. It's just going to go into the border, just like so. I'm just going to sew that in. And if you have a little bit too much chains, that's better than not enough, right? You can always add a little more chains by undoing your knot at the end after you've pulled through. You can add a few more chains, but I'd rather have a little bit too many to begin with. You can always reduce at the end. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to do this for the next fence post right over here. So it's for sheep number 9, sheep number 6, and sheep number 1 right at the top here. He'll be going over that fence post. And then for the last one, I'll do a smaller one again. I'm assuming it'll be the same as this one. This was 60 chains, but I'm not sure. If it's different, then I will come back and record another part of the tutorial for that. But I'm going to do one exactly again like this. Like I said, these two are 80 chains. The top post is 10 chains, 12 chains for the next one, and 14 chains for the next one after that. So I'm going to do another fence just like that over here. And then after that, I'm going to move to that final fence. And if it's any different, then I will, like I said, record a little bit more in the tutorial. And if not, then I will skip to the part where I start sewing this all in and together. Okay, so I believe I have finished all the fence pieces, and this is what it looks like. This part of the fence here, sorry, I cannot zoom out any further, but when I'm done the picture, when I'm done the entire blanket, what I'll do is I'll take a snapshot of it so that you can see it all in one piece, and that'll be at the beginning of this tutorial. So you'll be able to kind of see what you're doing as you're going along. But for now, I'll kind of show you what I'm doing for the dry fit. You've seen these rows here. The last one here, I told you I would tell you if it would be different. This top fence row was 70 chains, this one here, and this one was 60, this one going all along here. Of course the top one, this one here, this post was 12 chains, and this was 14 chains, and there is no further posts down here towards the end of the blanket. It's kind of hard to move this around with not getting everything kind of shifted and moved to the wrong place, but it just kind of goes to the end of the border there, at which point I'll just sew it right into the end there. Excuse me. So that's what the blanket is looking like for a dry fit. It's a little bit kind of crazy looking right now, but hopefully you can see the picture of where it's going towards and be able to do so on your end as well. Okay, so the next step, what I'll be doing is I'll be sewing these all on. So there's many different methods, I guess not many, but several different. You can pin them all on so that you know where they're going to be. But then you're dealing with a lot of pins, and I'm not too fond of that idea, because if there is a sharp pin, I will find a way to poke myself on it like 10 times before I take it out. But I just kind of do a dry fit. Go along, and I know what it's supposed to look like. This row is supposed to be just a little bit further this way because it's not quite centered, especially between the 7 and the 6. They're a little bit too far away. But things like that, it's what I work out during the dry fit here. And yeah, so I will be sewing these all onto the blanket. Of course, make sure you use the same yarn color as you're using here. Use the white to sew on the sheep except for the snout. Make sure you use black for that. And same thing for all the fence. Make sure you use brown. For the fence post, I've left extra so that I can sew those on top of these fence. I'm going to do these ones first, the long ones, and then I'll put the fence posts, and I've left myself string, but it would just be a lot of extra string if I would do enough to do 80 stitches, so I can always just tie in the ends and hide them in the back. Alright, so that's what I'll be doing next. I will show you what it looks like after I've had everything sewn on, the fences and the sheep. Of course, they will also have their legs. Don't forget their legs. Alright. Okay, so I have found the solution on pinning everything on. I didn't want it to start sewing it all on, or sewing the fences on, and all of a sudden find out it was uneven. So what I found was a whole bag of safety pins. These things are a lifesaver, because I don't like the pins that just have no protection for their sharp end, because if you're pinning this much stuff on, I am going to find a way to continuously stab myself. So this is what worked for me. Really great. I'll try to move it around here a little bit. The sheep are not pinned on. I just kind of placed them on so that I knew that they would be even. But as you can see, this one is actually sewn on already. This fence, not the sheep, but the fence itself is sewn on for that one. I kind of really like the way it turned out. It looks like old wood, just the way that the chains kind of go wobbly a little bit. Because it's on a shell stitch, it's kind of difficult to sew on. I'll give you the heads up on that. It's a little bit difficult to sew on something really straight. I was a little frustrated at first, but then actually I came to really like it that way, because it looked like old wood, right? From an old fence. But the rest are just pinned on. And let's see if I can go all the way to this end as well. This one starts over here. And this sheep is losing its way. But yeah, so it did work out really well just to pin it on with safety pins. Some of my ends here, the chains were too long. I'm just leaving them there right now. I'm going to start from the top and sew down for each of these fences. So if there's too much, then I can always just unravel a few. I figured that would probably work best at this point. And yeah, so that is my solution for pinning it on, and I'm very, very happy with it, because now I can see that it's all centered. There's the same amount of space between all my fences. The sheep I can make sure that they're straight. I can make sure everything looks good before I actually start sewing on the major ones. All right, so the next time I will catch up with you, I will have sewn on all the fences and maybe even the sheep. But again, don't forget about the sheep legs. Those kind of go on separately, so they have to be able to have legs to jump over fences, I guess, so don't forget about the legs. All right, I'll meet up with you at that point then. Okay, so here's a little bit of an overview, a little bit closer than the previous shot of what the blanket looks like. I love how the sheep are jumping over the fences. I think that's so cute. The only thing I would have done is I would have done this part in a lighter green, just so that the fences and the legs and the faces or the snouts of the sheep would show up a little bit more. That's what I would do differently.